Straight all day.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, including you, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all under the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, are you working smart or are you working stupid? Yes, this is a question. Yes, we are going to answer it. Yes, there is a way to figure this out, and we are going to address it. We're going to get straight to it here today. We're going to get to the root of this here today. Before we do that, though, let me tell you, I want to have a daily motivation text I send out for free every single morning to everyone who's in my text community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. If you want to receive that message, and now that I just sold you on it, why would you not? Text me at my number, 305-384-6894, and every morning when I send that message out, you'll get it straight to your phone free of charge. Secondly, your next step in working with me directly, getting into my coaching programs, getting access to all of my courses, and getting my physical mailings that I send out every month, my bulletin and my black book. Every month I send out the black book and the bulletproof bulletin. You want to get those, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I send those out every month to everyone. You get access to my courses, access to me directly as a coach at the coaching level. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Now get into the topic. Are you working smart or working stupid? All right, today we're going to talk about how to tell. And I don't really have to give a whole bunch of background on this one, but this is something that most people know, the cliche that you want to work smarter, not work harder. You know, a lot of people say that. And the thing about cliches is that cliches become them because they are based in some level of truth. The challenge with cliches is that most people know them, yet they are not actually living the things that they know. All right, so people can say, yeah, you got to work smarter, not harder, but then you look at the way people are working and they're actually doing the exact opposite of what they're saying. And today we're not talking about working smart versus hard. We're talking about working smart versus stupid. And I'll explain why there's a difference here today. Let's get to the points. Point number one. Topic once again is, are you working smart or working stupid? Here's the question. Are there people in your industry who know more and have achieved more than you have? That's my question. This is not a rhetorical question. Are there people in your industry who know more and have achieved more than you have? Here's another question. Now that you answered that question, and I would guess that most of you can answer the question yes. And by the way, if you ever get a great insight or idea from something that I share here on the show, send me a text message and let me know what episode you're listening to and what the great insight was. I sometimes say that, but I haven't said it in a while, so let me remind people. So if you're in my text community, or you're not yet, but now you want a reason to get in, text me and let me know you got a great insight from an episode of this show, or something that I said, or a question that I asked, or a point that I made. Just text me and say, hey, Dre, I'm listening to episode number, whatever. And when you said this, it made me think of this, or it moved me to do that. I want to know those things. Those things help me to know what is resonating with you all, since the audio versions of these shows, there's not like a text, not a text, but a comment section and things like that. So you all let me know when something is really hitting the nail on the head for you. So anyway, since there are people in your industry who have achieved more than you, right? And you believe that they know more than you, here's the follow-up question. Have you invested money into learning from these people? Since you know that there are people who know more than you, they've done more than you, have you invested money in learning from people who know more than you do? If the answer is no to this question, then you are working stupid. And I'm pausing there because I want this thought to sink in. You're working stupid. If there are people who know more than you and they've done more than you, but you're not investing into learning how to know what they know and to achieve your outcomes faster, then you're working stupid. That's not working smart. That's working stupid. In episode 1125, I described the difference between ignorance and stupidity. See, ignorance is when you don't know something. Stupid is when you know something, but you do the dumb thing anyway. See, your approach, if someone knows more than you, but you're not getting the knowledge and insight from them, your approach is based on what you know, but you just admitted to yourself that there are people who know more than you. So why would you depend on the knowledge of someone who is short on knowledge, being yourself? You're short on knowledge. Why would you depend on your knowledge when there's someone else out there who has more than you have? That's working stupid. Again, ignorant is when you don't know. Stupid is when you know better, but you do it anyway. So the real question is not working hard versus working smart, which is the cliche that everyone can repeat, yet few people execute on. The question is, are you working stupid versus working smart? As you can see, when we put things this way, it gives all of us a more precise understanding of what you're really doing. See, working hard versus working smart sounds like, it kind of sounds good and forgivable no matter which one you're doing. But see, if we make it differently, stupid versus smart, now you're holding a mirror up to yourself. Now this is a smack in the face of reality. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, are you working smart or working stupid? Number 2, episode 2434. I laid out the 3 things that usually cause people to not achieve the outcomes that they want, given that they actually want to achieve outcomes, given that you have goals. When someone has goals and they're not achieving them, it's usually 1 of 3 reasons. And again, in 2434, I laid this out. You're either lazy, stupid, or arrogant. 1 of the 3. Most people who are working stupid are not doing it because you're stupid. You're working stupid because you're too arrogant to admit that you don't know what you don't know. So therefore, you keep trying to force someone who lacks information, being you, to execute as if you do have information when you don't. Someone who has insight, you're trying to force yourself who lacks insight, lacks information, lacks know-how to execute as if you do have information, insight, and know-how. That's arrogance. Because you're trying to prove something that you are not equipped to prove. You are ill-equipped to prove. So this is what people do. They tell themselves that their approach will eventually work when your approach is already proven to not work. How many years have you been using your approach? It hasn't worked yet. So how long are you going to keep trying to prove something for no reason when you could easily get the right approach that does work and get the success? I mean, what business are we in here? Are you in the business of trying to be right, or are you in the business of trying to be accurate? Because being right is trying to prove yourself. Being accurate is about what's going to get us to the goal. See, what happens is you're allowing your pride to take over your self-talk. All right, let me just try to prove it myself. And we all have heard the cliche, since we want to talk cliches here, pride goeth before the fall. All right, you heard that one before? Smart people are really good at pointing out what they don't know. This is a trait of smart people. You want to know if someone's really smart. Notice how often they point out that they don't know something or they didn't know something, and instead of trying to figure it out on their own, they went and got the information, or they filled their ignorance gaps through another person. This is why human beings are social creatures. Why would you do it all by yourself? It's 8 billion people on the planet. Smart people are good at pointing out they don't know something. Stupid people are good at pretending that they have everything figured out while they're fooling everyone but themselves. Because everybody can see your results. They can see that you haven't achieved the results. So why you keep acting like you know what you're doing? People who don't go get information, don't go get insights, don't go get processes and strategies, they tell themselves that they're working smart when they're absolutely not. And they tell themselves this is a form of self-validation. It's a reflection of your arrogance when you're trying to validate yourself when you're validating a lack of achievement. That's a form of arrogance. And what it does is it pushes you further in the wrong direction towards failure. Self-validation feels good, but it does not help you do good. And you have to be very, very wary of this. You have to be very aware of when you are telling yourself things and doing things that make you feel good, but are not helping you do good. Again, this is the difference between being right and being accurate. And I talked about this in episode number, actually I talked about it a couple times, episode 2236, be right or die trying. That is a formula for failure. And let me find the episode where I talked about being right versus being accurate. That was episode number, let's see if I can find it. That was episode number 2167 and 2168. And then in 2236, we talked about be right or die trying, a formula for failure. Make sure you are not trying to prove yourself right, again, futilely for no reason, instead of doing what's actually going to get you where you want to go. All right, validating yourself just to serve your ego is a form of arrogance, and serving your ego does not always create success. You have to know when to put your ego aside so that we can actually get to the outcome. I talked about this in episode number 1353, prioritizing success over ego. Which one is more important to you? It's a question that you should answer. Look in the mirror and really think about that one. Point number 3, today's topic, once again, are you working smart or working stupid? Number 3, you are what you do. I know some people like to say, well, this is what I do, but it's not who I am. I say bullshit. It is who you are. Because when someone who doesn't know you gets told about you, like in a third person conversation, you're not there, but somebody who does know you is telling someone who doesn't know you about you, guess what's going to come up in that conversation? Usually pretty early in the conversation. Here's what he or she does. They're going to talk about what you do. Whether that's what you do continuously, what they know you for doing, what you do for a living, what business you're in, what job you work at. What you do is going to come up in a conversation when someone is talking about you when you're not around. So what you do is part of who you are. It's part of the description that other people give about you. If someone who doesn't know me, who's never heard of Dre Baldwin, asked you, listener, about me, how long are you going to be able to describe me before you talk about something that I do? It's probably going to be one of the first things that you said. You're going to talk about what I do. You're going to say, this guy has a podcast. This guy wrote a book. This guy's on Instagram. This guy that sends out a text message. You're going to talk about the things that I do. So the things that you do are part of the description that other people give about you when they're telling someone else who you are. All right, guaranteed. You are what you do. So there's nothing wrong with admitting that you don't know something. In actuality, the smartest people are the most apt to admit that they don't know things. Again, this is what makes them smart. The fact that they know where they're ignorant and they don't try to pretend that they're not. But here's the challenge. The more you do stupid things, the more stupid you become because you know better. If you know that you don't have the insights or the information or the experience to strategize for your own success, yet you keep trying to put yourself in charge of a process that you are ill-equipped to be in charge of, you are doing something stupid and hurting yourself more than you're hurting anyone else in the process, because it's your success that you're hurting. Because you have a person who doesn't know how to steer the ship in charge of the ship. And it's your ship. That ship's going to crash into a rock. Why would you do that? The smart person doesn't make this mistake. Aristotle said that you are what you repeatedly do. So if you repeatedly do stupid things, then the world has no choice but to identify you by your consistent actions. Again, Aristotle said you are what you repeatedly do. So if you're repeatedly doing stupid things like putting yourself in charge of a process for which you are ill-equipped to be in charge, well, what is the world going to call you? The world's going to call you by your actions. All right, this person just does stupid things every day. Why would you do that? Why would you set yourself up for failure in that way? So these are questions that you should think long and hard about, and then think about what changes you can make and what investments you can make into yourself so that you can stop doing things that are sending you in the wrong direction. The biggest change that many of you can make, and I've talked about this many times before, I'm going to talk about it a lot in the future. So for those of you who have already mastered this point, understand that we got to keep saying it until people actually pick up on it and actually start doing it, is you need to be less mentally diligent and less physically diligent and more mentally diligent. I talked about this in episode 2431. Don't be physically diligent and mentally lazy. This is what people do, is that they, instead of taking the time to think about how can I do this better, they just decide to double down on effort and hard work and belief and focus. And again, quantitative change over qualitative change. You need to flip that equation around and start making changes in the quality of what you do rather than changes in the quantity of what you do, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So if you increase the quantity of something that doesn't work, all you're doing is sending yourself further in the wrong direction and making yourself more tired in the process. Let's recap today's class, which is, are you working smart or working stupid? Point number 1. The question is, are there people in your industry who know more than you and have achieved more than you? And I think for most of us, the answer is yes. Here's the follow-up then. Have you invested money into learning from people who know more than you and have achieved more than you and can help you get to where you want to go in your space? It doesn't necessarily have to be someone in your same industry. It can be someone from outside of specifically what you do. A lot of people who work with me and I do the same things that I do, but they know that I can help them get to where they want to get in certain aspects. So if the answer is no, and you're not getting insights and help from people who can help you, you're working stupid, because you're putting yourself in charge and you're not equipped to be in charge in this particular area. I talked about this in episode 1125, ignorance versus stupidity. If your approach is based on what you know, but you don't know everything, then why would you do that? Again, you're putting a less than ideal person in position. Why would you depend on knowledge of someone who is short on knowledge? All right, ignorant means you don't know, stupid means you know better, but you do it anyway. And when we put things this way, instead of saying working hard versus working smart, we say working stupid versus working smart. You see that you don't have two options. Point number 2. We talked about being lazy, stupid, or arrogant. For most people, it's the arrogance that gets in their way. Because instead of just admitting, you know what, I don't know what I don't know, let me get some help from outside of myself, they try to prove that they do know what they don't know. And all you do is speed up your failure. And then you just go and fail again and again and again and again. And in some cases, that's a good thing. It's not a good thing when we're short on time, and you could easily stop failing so often by just getting access, information, insights, and strategies from people who know things that you don't know. Again, you're fooling everybody but yourself, because everybody else can see your results. People don't get the information. They tell themselves they're working smart as a form of self-validation, but self-validation is a servant to your ego. And you got to ask yourself, what's more important, your ego or your success? Are you trying to be right or trying to be accurate? And point number 3, you are what you do. Aristotle said you are what you repeatedly do. So if you're repeatedly doing a stupid thing, like putting an uninformed person in charge of the process of your life's success, then people have no choice but to define you by your repeated actions, which are stupid actions. So now that we have laid this out this way, hopefully it's a kick in the ass to some of you that maybe you need to change your approach rather than doubling down on effort at something that already is proven to not work. All that said, text me to get my daily motivation. My number is 305-384-6894 every day, straight to your phone. Secondly, get into workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can get access to, number 1, all of my courses, number 2, my coaching programs, number 3, my 2 physical mailings that I send out every single month, my Bulletproof Bulletin, Masterclass Black Book to your physical doorstep every month. Only members of my university get those things. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com to get access. Work on your game. Dre all day.